everyone, I'm Lady Teddy. I'm going to be reading out loud to you guys from Magium, which is a text-based choose-your-own-adventure story app. It is free on both Android and iOS, and it's really good. And there's a lot of different paths that you can take throughout it, so if you guys are interested or like what you hear, I highly recommend you download it and play it for yourself. Like I said, there's a lot of different paths. For the people who would like to get caught up, but they don't want to read it for themselves, all of my previous readings are in a Magium playlist on YouTube. Yeah, so we're going to be starting chapter 2, or we're book 2, chapter 5. We're starting chapter 5, I believe. That's where we left off. They're in the middle of this mage tournament, and they got in trouble for being there when someone killed a noble, so now they are in life or death fighting arena, fighting against monsters and stuff, and they are about to go into the second round. So without further ado, if anyone has any questions, you are more than welcome to ask. If not, I know a lot of people like to just listen to this and fall asleep, and so that is totally okay. That's totally valid. If someone would like to participate, though, I will generally... It's a good, smart, berry read-through right now. So if it's a good or smart option, I will generally make the decision for everyone. Otherwise, I'll generally make the decision, but it's not a good or a smart choice. I will generally let you guys make the decision for me if there are people here who would like to participate. So I'll read out all of the different options, and I'll give y'all about a minute. If no one says anything, I'll make the decision. Otherwise, I'll go with the majority of you guys put forth. Stillwater. Oh, wait. Stillwater! Bruce shouts. Hey! Stillwater! Are you still listening? I suddenly realize that I've been so lost in my own thoughts for the past minute that I've been completely neglecting my surroundings. Wilhelm seems to have returned to our room while I was spacing out. Judging by Bruce's tone of voice, I can only assume that he asked me a question, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention, I tell him. Could you repeat that? I was talking about Wilhelm, Bruce says. We can't let him roam free throughout the arena after what he did last round. Who knows who he'll try to kill next? I say we tie him up and leave him here. It's safer that way. Wilhelm is not a threat. Let him do what he wants. It won't make a difference. We don't have any rope. We could just tell him to keep his distance from us. Let him fight with us. We need all the help we can get against that troll. So, in the last chapter, thanks to the hearing stat, we overheard Wilhelm tell the person who hired him that he was no longer going to go through with the job and try to assassinate Barry again. So, I would be inclined to go with this one, because one of these two. Because they are going to need the help, and he knows he's not a threat. So, yeah, one of these two. If anyone has a suggestion, now is your chance. Otherwise, I will make a decision about a minute. Artash, hello! You're still here. Thank you for being here. Well, thank you for lurking. I appreciate you. Alright. Let him fight with us. We'll need all the help we can get against that troll. If you're worried about me backstabbing you, Wilhelm says, then I'll make sure to always be in your line of sight during the battle, so you can keep your eyes on me without much effort. Would that be enough to put your worries to rest? Dismal Entity, hello! Welcome in. How are you doing today? I suppose, Bruce says, as long as I can easily see where you are at all times, you're not much of a threat. Very well, Wilhelm says. Fighting on the front lines is not exactly ideal for me, but I'd rather do this than be forced to fight alone. I only hope that you won't take advantage of this situation to use me as a decoy. Damn it! Now I've lost my train of thought. What was I thinking about before I got interrupted? I'm sure it had something to do with the troll. As I take another look towards the fighting area, and see the troll waving at the crowds, my previous thought suddenly comes back to me. Hey Layla, I say. Is it just me, or is the troll wearing different armor than the last time around? Yes, Layla writes. It's still anti-magic armor, but now he also has shoulder pads. He probably switched armors in order to make it harder for us to cut his head off again. Correct me if I'm wrong, I say, but isn't this specific model of armor he's wearing vulnerable to regular fire? The armor he's wearing does not protect him against regular fire at all, Layla writes, only against magical fire. That's what I thought, I say, and then I head towards the door leading towards the corridor outside our room. As I prepare to open the door, I return towards Layla to give her one final message before I go. Layla, could you do me a favor? I tell her. I need you to take one of the torches that are lighting the halls and bring it with you to the area when the next round begins. Make sure that you don't let the troll see it when you approach him. When we're both in the fighting area, I'll give you a signal and then you can throw the torch at him. Got it? Yes, but where are you going? Layla writes. What are you planning to do? You'll find out soon enough, I say, and then I walk out the door. Oh dang, Dismal Entity. I hope you feel well rested. Good morning. I make sure that the guards are nowhere in sight, and I start heading directly towards Hadrick's division area. If memory serves, his room should be very close to ours. Hearing check successful level 2. Almost as soon as I exit my room, I start hearing two guards talk to each other very far down the corridor. Did you hear that they're bringing in ogres this round? One of the guards says. You mean the ones that Velgos captured? The other guard says. Yeah, I heard that the troll is holding members of their tribe hostage, and he's threatening to kill them unless they fight by his side. One of the tribe members is a female shaman. You don't see many of those these days. Wait, did you say a female shaman? So that's why she had all those strange garments and markings on her face. What do you mean? You saw her? Yeah, one of the cells I'm guarding has a few ogres in it. It's the one closest to the locker rooms. I'm guessing Velgos must have asked the owner to move them there temporarily so he can kill one or two of them in case the warriors misbehave. Ha! Those dumb ogres don't even know their tribe member is right under their noses. Serves them right. If they're stupid enough to get captured, then they deserve their lives. If they're stupid enough to get captured, then they deserve to live their lives as the troll's henchmen. I'm sure they'll both provide us with good entertainment. The guards both laugh, and then they resume their patrols. I make my way down the hallway as fast as I can, and I try to figure out which one of the doors leads to the dwarf's room. When I hear Hadrick's laughter coming from behind one of the doors, I realize that I've reached my destination, and I knock on the door 3 times, calling out to him to let him know who it is. "Hadrick, are you in there?" I say. Yeah, give me a sec," Hadrick says as he opens the door for me a few seconds later. Just as I was hoping, it looks like the dwarf brought more than a few bottles of ale with him to keep him company. He likely tried to convince his teammates to drink with him before the battle, but it doesn't look like he's had much luck. "Congratulations on winning your first round, Barry," Hadrick says. Did you come to make a toast before your next battle?" "Not exactly," I say, "but I did come to ask you for one of your dwarven ale bottles, if it's not too much trouble." "Not at all," Hadrick says. "I did say that I owed you a beer after all. Well, dwarven ale isn't really anything like beer, but you get the idea. Take whichever bottle you'd like. I've got plenty." "Perfect," I say. I pick one of the dwarven ale bottles from the ground. Now, all I need is a way to reach the fighting area. Sweet dreams, 80. Thank you for hanging out. Now, all I need is a way to reach the fighting area before the beginning of the round. Thank you for the hydrate. Before the beginning of the round, I say, then start looking around. I then start looking around to see if there are any hidden mechanisms that might allow me to open the iron gate by myself. "You want to enter the arena before the battle?" Hadrick asks me, confused. "Yeah," I tell him. "You know a way out?" "Well, no, but there's always the good old-fashioned way," Hadrick says, and then he gets closer to the iron gate. "Step aside." He then punches the gate very hard, blowing it out of its hinges and sending it flying towards the arena. "The way is clear," Hadrick says. "Nice," I say. "Thanks a lot." I then head towards the fighting area through the hole in the wall, and I wave towards Hadrick as I leave. "See you around," I tell him. See you, I guess," Hadrick says. As I slowly make my way towards the troll, with the bottle of ale in my hand, the announcer starts shouting at me from his elevated platform above. "What do you think you're doing?" he says. "The round hasn't begun yet. Get back to your own division area right now. Do you hear me? Get back. Hey, are you listening to me?" I ignore the announcer and I look directly at the troll, walking casually towards him. When he sees me, Belgos stops waving at the crowds and he begins to grin maliciously at me. "Did you come here to beg for your life, human?" the troll shouts at me. "It will do you no good. Your fate has already been sealed." I don't say anything and I keep walking forward. "Damn it," the announcer says. "Open the gates! Open them now!" I hear a horn signaling the beginning of the second round, and the gate to my division starts to slowly get raised. As I keep walking, I make sure that I advance slowly enough to give Layla the time to catch up to me. The troll is still taunting me. He must be thinking that I came here to offer him a drink. I don't think he's ever had the privilege of tasting dwarven ale before. Judging by the burning sensation that I got in my throat when I drank my first bottle with Hadrick, I'd wager that this is the strongest alcoholic beverage that money can buy. Maybe Velgos would be a little more worried if he knew what I had in this bottle. Are you trying to bribe me, human? Velgos says with a laugh. It's going to take more than a bottle of ale to convince me to spare your life. How about you start by kneeling before me? I want every spectator in the crowd to see how pathetic you are before I kill you. I stop right in front of the troll and I smile at him while raising my bottle. Layla is now only a few dozen feet behind me and she's closing in, with the other members of my division not far behind her. She's holding the torch behind her back, making sure that the troll doesn't notice it. Cheers, I say to the troll, Cheers, I say to the troll, while I have my bottle raised in the air. What are you trying to... the Velgo starts to say, but I don't let him finish his sentence. I quickly grab the bottle by its neck and I smash it into the troll's skull, covering him in Dwarven ale from head to toe. The troll seems shocked, unable to understand what is going on. Layla, now! I shout as I jump back from the troll. As soon as I give the signal, Layla throws her torch at the troll, igniting the flammable liquid and causing the troll to light up in flames. Velgo starts screaming loudly as he attempts to extinguish the fire from his head with his bare hands. Layla makes full use of the opportunity and she quickly dashes towards her enemy, slashing one of his shoulder pads right off his armor with one of her enchanted daggers. The troll grabs both of his scimitars in his hands and he tries to cut Layla in half, but she jumps back in time, avoiding his strike. I'm going to destroy you, the troll shouts at us. I will cut you into pieces so small that they won't even find enough of you to give you a proper burial. His eyes are red with rage, as the fire covering him is slowly dying out. The marks left from the burning flames are already starting to regenerate. I suppose I should have expected that regular fire would not be enough against an enemy with such high regenerative powers. What's next then? If I don't quickly decide what I'm going to do now, the troll won't give me any more time to react. Should I go on the offensive, or should I retreat, giving the others the time to join me? Try to cut the troll's head off, try to act as a decoy so Layla can cut the troll's head off, go for a tactical retreat. So, I can also save here. So we can make multiple decisions if we so choose. Currently we've got 6 available points, which we could invest in speed if we decide we want to try and cut the head off, because we're probably going to need speed. But we've got maxed strength, hearing, observation, and ancient languages. So, if someone would like to make a decision, now is your chance. I feel like good smart berry wouldn't really make much of a difference here. So, if anyone would like to make a choice, now is your chance. I'll give y'all about a minute. Two or three? Is there one that you're leaning towards? Alright. Well, we could also do both, depending on the outcome. I'll do this one. We shouldn't engage him by ourselves. We already managed to shatter one of his shoulder pads. That should be enough for now. I signal to Layla to retreat, and we both head back towards the other members of our team. The troll is still recovering from the fire, so he chooses not to come after us just yet. In the meantime, 2 very large ogres have made their way out of the gate from behind Belgos, and they are now waving their oversized clubs menacingly towards us. I knew it, our mage teammate says. I knew that they wouldn't make it as easy for us as fighting a single troll. They just had to bring ogres too. Stop complaining, Bruce says. Ogres are easy to beat. They're dumb and they're slow as snails. I could take them both on myself. Alright, would you like to pick the other path, or do you like this outcome so far? Perks of Choose Your Own Adventure. You can make with saves. Okay. Ancient Languages check, successful level 1. Actually, I'd rather be the one to take them on, if you don't mind. I tell Bruce. I'm not completely sure, but I think I might be able to bring them over to our side if I have a little chat with them. That sounds like a stupid idea, Bruce says, but who am I to judge? You can take the ogres if you want. The troll is enough for me. The ogre does not leave us the chance to continue our conversation, and they start running towards us, roaring at the top of their lungs while swinging their clubs. As we've agreed, the others step aside and begin heading towards the troll, leaving me to fight the ogres all by myself. Hey, you! I tell the ogres. We need to talk. The 2 ogres ignore me, and they try to hit me with their clubs. Luckily, even though their strength is formidable, dodging their sluggish attacks is child's play in an open environment such as this. It's about your captured tribe members, I tell them. Still no reaction. Is it because they can't understand common? I know where they're holding your tribe members captive, I say in the ogre tongue. The ogres react to my words for the first time, and they both stop attacking me while looking at me suspiciously. How would you know about our captured tribe members? One of the ogres says. Don't listen to him, he's trying to trick us, the second ogre says. Am I? I say. What if I were to tell you I also know that one of the captains is your tribe's shaman, who happens to be a female? He knows about our shaman, the first ogre says. He must be telling the truth. Even if he is, it's not worth it, the second ogre says. The troll will kill us all if we try to help this human in any way. Not if we kill him first, I say. You're insane, the second ogre says. The troll is immortal. Even if you kill him, he'll still come back to life. There's no way we can beat him. So, you'd prefer to live the rest of your life as his lackeys then, I say. Brother, the first ogre says, we've been at this troll's mercy for too long. We'll never get a better chance than this to avenge our fallen warriors and to rescue their captives. The second ogre looks at his comrade in arms for a few seconds, considering his words carefully. What would you ask of us if we agreed to help you? The second ogre says. Just help me out in killing the troll, I say. After that, I'll tell you where they're holding your friends, and you'll be free to go. Don't worry, they're not being held far from here. You'll have plenty of time to free them and get out of the city before they assemble the city guards. I will hold you to that promise, human, the second ogre says after thinking about my offer for a few more seconds. You'd better not be lying to us. I wouldn't dream of it, I say. The two ogres exchange one final look, and then they turn their back on me, preparing to go fight their former ally. While I was talking to the ogres, I saw Layla and Bruce working together and managed to decapitate the troll. Layla crushed Velgos's head under her sandal, and but the head did not regenerate on the ground. Instead, a new head formed atop the troll's neck, taking him only about 5 seconds to fully regenerate it to its original form. However, judging by the expression he had on his face after he was done regenerating, I'm guessing that this must have been a particularly painful process. As I prepare to join my friends in battle, I take one long look at Velgos, and I try to make a plan of attack. Observe the battle between Layla and Velgos in order to find his weaknesses, lie to the mage in order to convince him to act as a decoy, cut the troll's head off while he is busy fighting Layla. I'll take either the first or the third option. I'm inclined to go with this one since it's smart. But yeah. I'm inclined to go with this one. If anyone would like to object, now is your chance. Okay, cool. While I stand there, thinking, the ogres make a rush towards the troll with their clubs at the ready, preparing to strike. As he sees his former companions turning on him, Velgos's eyes fill with rage. Layla takes advantage of this short distraction, and she manages to cut the troll's head off yet again. Once she crushes his head, the troll starts regrowing a new one on his neck, although this time it seems to be taking longer to fully create it, and it looks like he's having a bit of trouble recreating the exact same facial features that he had before. As soon as his head grows back, Layla, Bruce, and the ogres begin putting pressure on the troll once more, not leaving him any chances to properly fight back. Good gods, the mage says, exasperated as he watches Layla fight. Stop aiming for the head. Can't you see that it's doing you no good? On the contrary, I tell him. I think that cutting his head off is exactly what we should be doing. You could clearly see that the troll was struggling to regenerate his head when it got cut off the second time. Even with his insane regenerative ability, there still has to be some kind of limit to how many times he can regrow his head in such a short period of time. My guess is that one or two more beheadings should do the trick. I take another quick look towards the battlefield, and it looks like Velgos is not doing very well. I don't think he's ever fought so many strong enemies at once before, and he's not used to defending from so many attacks at the same time. I maintain my position, trying to study the troll carefully as he's fighting. I don't get to do that for long, however, because Layla soon manages to find another opening in the troll's defenses, and she cuts his head off yet again. As his head gets crushed once more, the troll begins regrowing a new one from his neck. This time, something is definitely off. The grotesque form that is emerging from his neck can no longer be called anything close to a head. The face is missing, half of its skin, and its eyes are coming out of their orbits. And the shape of it is nothing like before. More importantly, it would seem that his head has not been well enough regenerated to allow him to breathe. The troll is now desperately trying to gasp for air while looking at me and Layla with pure hatred in his eyes. He tries to speak, but he has no air left in his lungs. He only manages to make some unintelligible, guttural sounds while taking a few steps forward and stretching one of his arms towards us in a futile attempt to reach us. Once he runs out of breath completely, he drops to his knees and he starts clawing at his throat with his hands, as if he were trying to create a new pathway for the air to reach his lungs. Eventually, he stops moving altogether, and he drops face first onto the ground, lifeless. Well, that was anticlimactic, I say. Hey, Velgos, the announcer says. What are you doing? Stop fooling around and fight seriously. What do you think we're paying you for? The spectators seem to be unsure of how to react. Velgos appeared to be something of a crowd favorite, so seeing him die in front of their eyes must be giving them mixed feelings about this whole thing. They can't really blame us for having killed him, but they don't seem very eager to cheer for us either. What we're getting are a few moments of awkward silence while the announcer is still struggling to come to terms with reality. Velgos, the announcer says, this time in a pleading voice. Don't do this to me. Come on. I bet good money on you. You can't die on me like this. What about the rest of the second round? Who's going to fight the other divisions? Velgos, get up, damn you! Once the announcer finishes his rant, we hear Vennard, the arena owner, clearing his throat from somewhere behind the announcer. Please excuse me, the announcer says to the spectators. I'll be back shortly. He then heads in the direction of the arena owner, descending from his elevated platform by entering one of the upper levels of the main building surrounding the fighting area. As the announcer was talking, I was barely paying attention to him because I was focusing on something else entirely. After studying the scimitars that had fallen from the troll's hands for a while, I'd come to the conclusion that they were both in surprisingly good condition. I'm also quite certain that they both have at least the sharpness and durability enchantments cast on them, so they should be pretty comparable to my dagger in terms of usefulness. I've never really liked wielding two weapons at the same time when fighting, but maybe I could take one of them with me so I can use it when I'm in need of a weapon with longer reach. Or maybe I should take the other one too and sell it at a shop? I'm not exactly sure how much it would be worth, but I could get Darren to identify all of the enchantments cast on it. I'm sure that I could negotiate a reasonable price at the weapon shops. Leave the weapons there, take one scimitar, take both scimitars. Smartberry would definitely take at least one. I'm inclined to take both. I'll leave it up to you guys. I'll give y'all a minute. Alright, one it is. Achievement unlocked. Divide and conquer. It's always good to have an extra weapon. It's always good to have an extra weapon. I take one of the scimitars from the ground I put it in its sheath, and then I hook the sheath to my belt. Human, one of the ogres says in their language, we have fulfilled our end of the bargain. We are still waiting for you to fulfill yours. Oh, right, the hostages, I say. They're keeping them locked right here in the main building of the Colosseum. The guard said that they're being held in the cell that is the closest to the locker rooms. You shouldn't have any trouble finding those. Just go through the gate over there and take a left. I hope you're not lying to us, the ogre says. Let him be, the other ogre says. He already fulfilled his promise. We have no reason to doubt him. Let's go. Quickly, before they send the guards for us. The two ogres move away from us, and they start heading towards the arena gate in order to free their captive clan members. Wait, what just happened here? Bruce asks, confused. What were you talking to them about? Why are you letting them go? I forgot to turn the music off. My bad. Why not? I say. The round objective was to kill the troll. They never said anything about the ogres. They were being forced, but why did they help us? Bruce asks. They were being forced to cooperate with the troll, I say, because he was holding some of their clan members hostage. I told them where their friends were being kept in exchange for them helping us with the troll. You mean to say that you just allowed them to leave so they can get reinforcements? Bruce says, shocked. Reinforcements for what? I say. Listen, ogres may be dumb, but they're not that stupid. I guarantee you that the first thing they'll do after they free their allies will be to flee the city as soon as possible. They're sure as hell not going to stick around and wait for the town guards to assemble. So maybe they'll kill some of the arena staff on their way out. Not my problem. They should have thought of the risks before bringing a bunch of ogres into the middle of a city populated by humans. Fine, Bruce says. Forget the ogres. So what are we doing now? Is the round over or what? We're waiting for the announcer to come back, I say. He's the one who's supposed to announce the end of the fight. After a bit more time, the announcer finally returns to his platform, looking mildly upset. Sorry for the delay, ladies and gentlemen, the announcer says. After a discussion with the arena's owner, Mr. Vinard, we've reached the conclusion that the second round cannot continue after the death of Valgos the mercenary. In other words, the end of this fight also marks the end of the round. The third and final round will commence shortly, as soon as the organizing team is done with the preparations. We apologize for the inconvenience. He then turns towards us. All gladiators will have to wait in their division areas until the beginning of the next round, he says. You will not be allowed to roam the halls any longer. Your rooms will be locked until the end of the third round. This time, there will be no more incidents. I'm pretty sure that he was looking directly at me when he said those last words. He must still be upset because I entered the fighting area before the beginning of the round last time. Oh well. At least I don't need any more information from my notebook. Being unable to exit my division area shouldn't affect me that much. As soon as we As soon as we get back to our room, we hear a person shouting loudly from the hallway outside our door. It's the voice of the ambassador of Allendor. What do you mean everything is going smoothly? The ambassador shouts. Are you mocking me? Not at all, Ambassador, Vinard, the arena owner, says. There have been no problems of any part. There have been no problems with any part of our arena event as far as I am aware. No problems? The ambassador says. The Earl of Allendor's killers are still alive, and you're telling me that there are no problems? I assure you, Renard says, that our guests have been given no advantages over the other gladiators of the arena during these fights. Quite the opposite, in fact. Of course, if you have any doubts, you are free to talk with the organizing team in order to arrange the upcoming duels in any way you'd like. After all, you have always been the one to have the final say during the organization of these events. I've been a fool to leave things in your care until now, the ambassador says furiously. If you are too incompetent to get the job done right, then I'll just have to do it myself. We hear the ambassador storming away from the hallway, presumably towards the room where the organizing team was making the preparations for the next round. Farewell, Ambassador, Renard says calmly, and then we hear him leaving as well. It sounds like a certain someone really has it out for you, Layla writes while looking at me. Who cares, I say. It's not like they can do anything anymore, even if they try. I remember you saying something similar before our battle with the troll, Layla writes. Yeah, but now it's different. The troll is dead. So are the creatures. I don't see what other tricks they could pull out of their sleeve this late in the game. Really? Layla writes. You don't see any way in which the organizers could guarantee your death in the next round. Not a one, I tell her. All right then, Layla writes simply. A few minutes later, the announcer receives a written list from a member of the organizing team, and after glancing over it for a few seconds, he begins to read it out loud. I am now going to announce the names of the gladiators that will be fighting in the first duel, the announcer says. This will be a fight to the death. The gladiators will need to battle only until one of them is left alive. The gladiators will need to battle until only one of them is left alive. No surrendering is allowed. Get ready, Layla writes to me. Ready for what? I ask her. The names of the gladiators are, the announcer says as he gets ready to read the first line on the parchment. Barry and Darren, the announcer continues. Oh, I tell Layla. The iron gate in front of me gets raised, and so does the one from Darren's division. Will the two gladiators who just had their names called please enter the fighting area? The announcer says in a bored voice. Thank you. Oh, I tell Layla again, not knowing what else to say at this point. Good luck, Layla writes with a serious look on her face as I slowly step out of my division area and into the arena. Okay, calm down. There's no need to panic. I've gotten through every obstacle in my path so far. There is no reason why this should be any different. There's no need to panic, okay? No reason. Just need to calm down. No panic. No panic. While I'm busy thinking to myself, Darren is also slowly advancing towards me, only he seems to be unusually calm about all of this. Why is that? Is that because he knows he can beat me? No, that can't be the reason. Could it be that he's already managed to figure a way out of this mess? Out of this mess? What is he planning to do exactly? Damn it, I'm sure I could come up with the plan too if only I could manage to calm down. Once Darren and I both get to the center of the arena, facing each other, Darren gives me a wide grin and then he drops his sword and shield on the ground and then he throws his hands in the air. I surrender! Darren shouts as loud as he can. I cannot fight this man! How could I? The fight is to the death, healer, the announcer says. Even if this man is your friend. I mean, look at those muscles, Darren shouts loudly, interrupting the announcer. No sane man would ever dare fight such a beast. Suddenly all of the spectators in the crowd burst into laughter. Those arms look like he could smash my head like a watermelon between his bare hands. Darren continues with a mocking grin on his face. And look at the size of his back. May the gods have mercy on my soul. Laugh it up, Darren. Still, I have to give credit where credit is due. The idea to surrender was genius. Genius and yet so obvious. How did I not think of this? While the crowds are still laughing, the ambassador of Allendor is making his way into the fighting area through one of the iron gates, and he is heading towards us. What is the meaning of this? The ambassador shouts, and the crowds slowly fall silent. Why aren't you fighting? This is a fight to the death. You can't just surrender. Well, what are you gonna do about it? Darren tells him with a smirk when he reaches us. The ambassador's face turns red with rage, and then he looks towards me. You there, he says. Peasant, your opponent is disarmed. Finish him now. Finish him off now or face the consequences. Who are you calling a peasant? Peasant? Are you okay? Your face is all red. Maybe we should call a doctor. Finish off Darren. I'll let y'all decide. If someone would like to help pick one of these delightful 3 options, now is your chance. All right. Who are you calling a peasant? Peasant! As I speak, I use a loud enough tone of voice to make sure that the spectators can hear me. I'm not a peasant, you lowborn scum, the ambassador shouts. You're the peasant. No, you're the peasant, I tell him. You are the peasant, the ambassador shouts with an even redder face than before. The spectators cannot contain themselves any longer, and they all start laughing in unison. Hey, Darren, I say, I think I found someone who is even easier to tease than Flower. Are you mocking me? The ambassador says. Of course he's mocking you, Darren says. I mean, seriously, what did you expect? Did you really think that you could come in here and convince us to kill each other if you yelled at us a little? If you don't kill each other, I'll have you both executed, the ambassador shouts. No, you won't, Darren says loudly so that everyone can hear him. There is no standard arena rule that says we need to kill each other. We only broke one of this rule's event. We only broke one of this event's rules. This means that you can't execute us. You can only make us into undesirables and force us to participate in the penalty round. Those are the rules." "I don't care about the rules," the ambassador shouts. "I make the rules. You will do as I say or you are both going to die." There's a loud murmur from the spectator seats after the ambassador's last outburst. The ambassador does not notice, and he continues his rant. "Did you seriously think that those rules ever had any importance?" The ambassador shouts, even louder than before. "This whole arena's only purpose was to have you killed. You were never meant to walk out of here alive. Do you hear me? This whole arena was nothing but a farce. Don't make the mistake of thinking that you have any chance of survival just because you've won 2 measly rounds. I am the ambassador of Allendor. If I wanted, I could have you both executed right now in front of all of these people, and nobody would bat an eye. What? That is how much power I have. Now hurry up and kill each other like the dogs you are, or I will have your heads placed on spikes along with all of your friends." While the ambassador was talking, the murmurs from the crowds started to slowly turn into booing that only intensified the more the ambassador spoke. By the time he finished his monologue, most of the spectators had picked up on the booing, and they were getting louder by the second. "Off with the ambassador's head!" shouts one of the spectators loudly enough for everyone to hear him. This one phrase seems to have perfectly resonated with what everyone was thinking at that moment, because all of the spectators in the crowd gradually picked it up and made a shorter version of it in order to be able to chant it in unison repeatedly. "Off with his head! Off with his head! Off with his head!" The crowd keeps chanting as the ambassador's arrogant look on his face gets slowly replaced with a much darker. As the ambassador's arrogant look on his face slowly gets replaced with a much darker and more fearful expression, with a trickle of sweat beginning to run down his forehead. "How does it feel, ambassador?" We suddenly hear Eden's voice coming from somewhere. Coming from somewhere behind the ambassador, although the Stillwater himself is still nowhere to be seen. "Damn it, not again!" Darren says as he hears Eden's voice. "Is that Eden?" the ambassador says as he looks around, trying to identify the source of the sound. "How does it feel to have so many people threatening to end your life at the same time?" Eden says, "Take a good look at these people, Ambassador. Do you think they would care about your high rank if you met them now on the street? Do you think that they would hesitate to kill you, even for a moment, if they were given the chance to do so?" He pauses. "These are the people you've shunned all your life, Ambassador," Eden continues, "and you have done so due to your strict adherence to the belief that all of the people below your social rank were nothing but inferior creatures, unworthy of your attention. Do you still have what it takes to stick to your beliefs now and face the direct consequences of your actions? What choice will you make, Ambassador? Your time is running out." I can almost imagine Eden's smirk, with his closed eyes as he watches the ambassador biting his nails, trying to find a solution that could help him both to calm down the crowds and to have us killed on the spot. The solution, however, never came. I've changed my mind, the ambassador says finally, loudly enough so that the spectators can hear him. We will follow the rules. These two gladiators have now become undesirables. If they survive the final round, then they will be set free as promised. You may continue the rest of the round as you see fit. He then storms out of the fighting area and is far away from the booing noise as his legs can carry him. In the meantime, Darren has picked up his sword and shield from the ground, and he is now looking towards the place where we have heard Eden's voice coming from. So, how is it going, Eden? Darren says. Are you enjoying the show? The empty place that Darren is addressing gives him no answer. You know, I was thinking, Darren says, ignoring the fact that Eden never answered his question. While I was traveling, I've often heard of these new types of circuses where they involve their audience directly in some parts of their shows. I was thinking that since you're such a loyal spectator, maybe we could try some of that. What do you think? He then throws his sword with breathtaking speed right at the spot where Eden was standing invisibly a few minutes prior. The sword passes through the empty space where the Stillwater had been standing, and it falls to the ground a few dozen feet beyond that position. Looking a bit disappointed, Darren lets out a small sigh and he goes to retrieve his sword. Not long after the departure of the ambassador, the announcer officially ends the fight between me and Darren, and he declares me as the victor of the battle due to Darren's surrender. As I'm preparing to return to my division room, the announcer stops me, telling me that I was scheduled to fight to the death with a gladiator from the 6th Division right after my battle with Darren. The announcer also reminds me that as an undesirable, I now have the right to refuse to fight until the penalty round, if I so desire. I feel like the smart option is to refuse the duel. If someone would like to try and convince me that Smart Goodberry would accept it, you can, but unless you give me a good reason, I'm going to pick refuse the duel. Now's your chance. I'm drinking water. I'll have a minute. Okay. I decide to take advantage of my undesirable status in order to refuse the duel. There's no reason to get myself even more There's no reason to get myself even more tired before the final round. I should use all the time left at my disposal to recover from the battle with the troll. I tell the announcer my decision and I head back to my division area. As soon as I reach it, the iron gate closes. As soon as I reach it, the iron gate closes behind me and I turn around in order to begin watching the next fights. The rest of the battles went by without any particular incidents, and without any of the gladiators standing out in any way. However, there seemed to be something of a pattern forming with the scheduling of the duels. First of all, neither me nor Darren nor Hadjic were being called anymore for any of the fights. Kate was scheduled to fight a few times, but she refused every time, taking full advantage of her undesirable status. Secondly, there have been no more fights to the death whatsoever after my last battle. Most of the battles ended with light scratches or with the gladiators surrendering before the fight even began, due to obvious differences in power levels. By the time the third round ended, it was getting pretty obvious that these changes had been specifically requested by the ambassador in the purpose of keeping as many of the gladiators alive as possible in order to get us to fight them all in the penalty round. The winner of the third round was some guy from the 7th Division that didn't really do anything special, but had the luck of running into a lot of cowards who surrendered before their fights even began. Once the winner received his prize, the announcer called for the gladiators to assemble in the fighting area one last time, so the penalty round could finally begin. Will the undesirables please form a line and face the rest of the gladiators? The announcer says. Darren, Kate, and I all head towards the center of the arena, and we stand side by side preparing our weapons. Now, who is ready? Now, who is ready to participate in the final? The announcer starts to say, but then he stops when he sees that Hadrick, Layla, and Bruce all move at the same time in order to join our side. What are you doing? The announcer says. You were all on the wrong side. You were on the wrong side. Neither of you are undesirables. Yet, Bruce says, you are saying, the announcer says, that you are voluntarily turning yourselves into undesirables after the event has already ended just to stand by these gladiators' side? The true members of the fourth division shall stand united to the very last blow of the horn, Bruce says. Wilhelm frowns at Bruce, who looks straight at him when he says those last words. After a few seconds of silence, the assassin moves from his spot and then joins our side as well. And what about you, Dwarf? The announcer asks, Hadrick. Well, you know me, Hadrick says. I always like a good challenge. Very well, the announcer says. While we're at it, is there anyone else that would like to join the undesirables side? The gladiators fall silent, and it seems that nobody else is planning to join us anymore. Good, the announcer says. Then, it's about time that we get this round started, don't you think? Volunteers, please step forward so that you may join this optional round. One of the gladiators begins to move forward, but another one pulls him back from behind. Do you have a death wish? The gladiator from behind says. Don't you see who you're up against? That dwarf pulverized half the manticores and the scorpions all by himself, and that healer in armor pretty much fought all of the monsters by himself too, and he doesn't even have a scratch. You'd have to be insane to want to fight them. Hearing the gladiator's speech, the few other warriors who are planning to join the final round are starting to have second thoughts. Really? The announcer asks, shocked, as he sees that none of the gladiators are volunteering to fight. No one? Do you people realize what you can gain if you kill each other? Do you people realize what you could gain if you kill either one of those warriors in front of you? You can be freed just like that, or get showered in riches. Better to be poor than dead, one of the gladiators says, while many of the others nod in agreement. What do you all think you are doing? The ambassador shouts furiously as he comes running to the fighting arena once more. Why aren't you fighting them? There are dozens of you. Dozens! Numbers don't mean anything when you're up against enemies of that caliber, one of the gladiators says. What caliber? The ambassador shouts furiously. They are just a bunch of peasants! Do you think that fighting them is not worth the risk? Then I'll make it worth the risk. I can give you money beyond your wildest dreams. You will never have to work another day in your life. If you join this fight, I will free you all and give you a high enough status that you will never risk having to fight in a place like this ever again. Just tell me what you want and I will provide it for you. All you have to do is fight. Fight, damn you! The gladiators are all looking at each other with an uneasy look in their eyes. But it doesn't seem like any of them are seriously considering accepting the ambassador's offer. What is What is wrong with you? The ambassador shouts with his face red from anger. Do you have no ambitions? No goals? What is it going to take to make you fight them? What is it going to take? Tell me, you miserable excuses for human beings. What do you want? Tell me, tell. The ambassador's last words get drowned out by a few very loud horns that seem to be all blowing in unison from different sides of the cities. The crowds are starting to panic. It seems that they all know something that we don't. Whatever it is that those horns are supposed to signify, I'm definitely not liking the sounds of this. Oh no, the announcer says, trying to keep calm. Will the spectators please evacuate the area in a calm and orderly fashion? The show is cancelled. I repeat, the show is cancelled. The spectators are now rushing in droves towards the exits of the Colosseum, and while they are not looking very calm and orderly to me, they are at least not knocking each other down, so they still have some sense of self-control left in them despite their panic. Now that he's done with the spectators, the announcer turns towards us. Gladiators, he says, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to ask you to temporarily join the forces of our army until the current crisis gets averted. According to the laws of Thilius, during a citywide state of emergency, gladiators are to be used as resources of the kingdom until the state emergency is officially declared to be over. Like hell we will, that wasn't the deal. What is the emergency? What about the penalty round? Do we still have to do that too? I'm inclined to go with this one. But if someone if anyone has a suggestion, now is your chance. Actually, I'm going to end here. Seems like a decent stopping point. Chapter 5. Cool. Achievement. Transfer achievements to cloud. Transfer checkpoint. Cool. Alright, well. I hope that everyone enjoyed that. Sorry to cut it rather short, although that was over an hour of reading. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed listening to that. I'm excited to be moving past the arena soon. It's been a really good stream, got to meet some cool new people, good conversations, finished Little Nightmares. We did the first chapter so we could get the DLC. Yeah, it's been a good stream. So yeah, the next time I stream should be tomorrow. I should be streaming Skyrim. Once again, this was Magium, which is a text-based choose-your-own-adventure story app that is free on both Android and iOS. I highly recommend you download it for yourselves if you liked it, because it's really good, and there's a lot of different paths that you are able to take if you don't feel like reading it for yourself, but you would like to get caught up. All of my previous read-throughs are in a Magium playlist on YouTube. So, you all have been wonderful. You have a really good rest of your day or night, or whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm going to bed now, so good night.